Hi everybody, so housing crisis. Just watched something on the good old ABC, the moderate, straight down the middle, definitely not leftist ABC that is a level-headed voice, not a bunch of radical left-wing lunatics at all. Just watching how politicians are responding to the housing crisis. First, let me explain something. I can't go back to Australia. I can't afford to go back to Australia. I set up a vocational college in Japan. COVID hit. Even though the programs I had brought over to Japan were exactly what basically the Australian Austrade wanted. Okay, they actually had presentations made. I brought them over, got the licensing and accreditation to start the college, and as soon as COVID hit, I had to shut everything down. I couldn't do anything, but I had to keep paying the bills because I wasn't a Japanese citizen. Austrade said, there's nothing we can do for you. We expected a university to come in and do it because we can get probably $250,000 to $500,000 from that university before we do anything. Consultancy fees. But thank you very much for doing it all. It would have been fantastic, but we just don't care. Even though they probably could have done a lot for me. But then again, I'm not one of their elites, so they don't care. And so I lost everything. And I can't go back to Australia. I couldn't even rent a place. I have Crohn's disease. I can't live in like a hostel or something. I would never do that. I would rather turn my lights off than live in a hostel with other people. I have a specific medical condition that I would need assistance for. I couldn't work a full-time job. I do go to the gym about 2 hours a day. That has actually made me feel a heck of a lot better. But still, I know that I could not work a full-time 7-8 hour job because of my medical condition. I've had a metre of intestine removed already. I don't want anything more removed. But getting back to it, Australia has a housing problem because we have a migrant problem. But politicians want more immigrants. I don't know why it is. I believe it's a radical left-wing agenda where they want more people so there's a larger tax base. They can basically act more authoritarian once these people who cannot really be part of the Australian culture and identity. And now let's just get somewhere very quickly. People have been migrating to Australia for a long time. It started with the Indigenous Australians. There's been Europeans, there's been Italians, Germans, the French, Protestants, Catholics. There's been Hindus, there's been Buddhists. There've been Jewish people as well. And people from Indonesia. There's been people from the Philippines. There's been people from all over, and we all can get along very well. Okay, but now the migration is changing, and there's people coming in who will never be part of the Australian experience because they can never accept Australian society for what it is. We are a peaceful people. We are a tolerant people. We respect each other's beliefs and opinions, even if we disagree with them. The great thing about Australian mateship is you can have a biff. You can fight your best mate and then shake hands after and you're still best mates. These are Australian values, but some people coming to Australia will never accept them. They can't. It's not within their characteristics. It's not within their traits. And it's not within the RELIGION that they are coming with. Okay? And yet the politicians still import these people. Australians do this. Labor Liberal is the same. I used to believe in the Liberal Party. Now I just don't care. I just could not care less because they just seem to go along with everything anyway. And I don't think they had a real different agenda to the Labor Party. But Australians have this habit of changing the monkey but keeping the zoo open. There's no big change in the zoo. It's just, oh, we'll just change that monkey for that monkey, and maybe that monkey will just maybe look at us and smile different. That's really the extent of the Liberal and Labor Party now for me. I just couldn't care about them because they don't care about Australians. There are more and more homeless Australians and more migrants coming, and the migrants are getting housing, and they get amazing benefits. Don't tell me they don't, because I know they get them. I have a friend of mine, Yut, who I met at university now probably 20 years ago. And he was a Sudanese lost boy and spent 7 years in Egypt before be the United Nations refugee program sent to Australia. Him and a couple of Sudanese boys. They were Christian Sudanese. That's why they were hunted in Sudan. They fitted very well in the Australian way of life. They went to church every day. I remember that. They would, on the way to university, there's a church. They'd stop and pray. They'd go to university. They came out with us. They tried to play cricket, played basketball. Silver was dunking on us because he's 6'7". But I remember something you'd said. Listen, we were in the refugee camps. We know what it's like. The next batch that are coming, they're going to be okay too. But it's the ones afterwards you're going to have to watch out for, because they aren't like us. They don't share our Judeo-Christian values. And you're going to be in for a hell of a time with them. But he also said that when he got here, he got housing, he got everything. He got a lot of stuff. Now, because he went through the United Nations program, and one of his friends had his hand chopped off, I remember that. I said, yeah, fair enough. I don't mind you coming. I said, one day I hope you can go back to Sudan and rebuild your country. He goes, that is our dream. Your country is beautiful and amazing, but it's not ours. Ours is Sudan. And he emailed me about 2 years ago. He got to go back for a while. He said it's still so rough, but he felt that's my home. Well, I'm going to have to get back there one day. I just don't know what to do there right now. And he went back to Australia because he got his Australian citizenship. No problem. I've got no problem with that. But there are now homeless Australians, more and more, because we allowed too many people to come through. And the government doesn't care. They talk a good game, but they don't change the game. It's like the star player saying, I'm going to pass you the ball. Then he shoots. And then next time down the court, I'm going to pass you the ball. But then he shoots. So why listen to him again? The government's a lying machine. And it's a sad fact that I'm running out of my savings and I'm about to lose everything. And I have to turn my lights off. But I don't know if Australia can ever be saved from the radical left-wing lunatics that have taken over. We've seen now pro-Palestinian. We're going to soon see people flying the Iranian flag in, of course, Melbourne first, in Australia. We're about to see that in the next week or so. Okay, probably in the next few days, if they haven't already done it. And we don't have anywhere to go. And some Australians have nowhere to go. I don't have anywhere to go because I'm no longer part of the Australian experience, because Australia doesn't want me. They want new immigrants in who will just vote for Labor. I don't think any of them will vote Liberal. But we've lost our nation. I remember Australia in the 80s. You know the song by Cold Chisel, Flame Trees? That is a uniquely Australian song. Because when you listen to it and watch the video clip of it, the music clip, I know where those places are. I can see the faces. I can understand them from the 1980s point of view. In 1984, when that song was released, I was 5. Do I remember back then? Actually, I can. I can remember living in St. Clair when I was 5 years old. I can remember going to Blackwell Public School. But I can remember my cardigan being very itchy. I can remember grapes from my little plastic box. What do you call them? I forget. Lunchbox. I can remember poppers with Masters of the Universe stickers. I can remember going to the supermarket and getting them and looking at those stickers on the way home. I can remember these things. In my mother's car, there was a little hole in the floor. And when I finished the little green grape and the little seed, I'd put it down there. I thought it was fantastic. Okay? And I remember, but I can uniquely remember what Australia was and how unbelievably amazing Australia was. We had our identity. We knew who we were. We had this fun. We had this understanding altogether who we were as a nation, as one of the great nations on earth. And we've lost that because of migration. And no one seems to care that Australians now can't even afford to live in their own country. You tell me what's wrong with that? Who do the politicians work for? They don't work for me. They don't work for Australians. I have literally I've spoken to the embassy, to the government, I've said, I'm going to need help, guys, or I'm gone. I have to turn my lights off, and they just don't care. They just do not care. I hope you understand what turning my lights off means. But they just don't care. They just simply don't. They send you back an automated email. That's the best you'll ever get out of them. They just don't care. Isn't it a shame that we've lost our identity and we don't know who we are? And all we can expect now is radical left-wing violence and people who will never fit in, and politicians who just don't care about Australians and homelessness going through the roof. That's all we're getting from these politicians. Why do we keep voting for them? It makes no sense. And don't tell me, well, the whole world, everything's becoming unaffordable. That is a lie. Sorry, it is. It is politically motivated. It can very easily be stopped. Unfortunately, our politicians play with us like we are little monkeys, and they don't care about us. And we don't do anything about it. That's the sad fact. Australians don't do anything. Keep voting in the same maggots and parasites who take from us Australians and give to people who will never fit in. And then we have a crisis like housing. And we're going to vote again, Liberal or Labor. That's the sad fact. Okay. Enjoy, good people. Good luck if you're in Australia. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow there.